Hi guys, welcome to Keeping It Real Estate with your hosts Justin and Brandy from Team Grande at Remax Escarpment. On today's episode, we're talking about the How to Buy a House in Hamilton process in 2022. This is a seller market edition.
That's it. Definitely a seller market edition right now. Buying a house in Hamilton. The inventory is just flying so fast that making an offer and going through the buying process right now is completely different than it was just 2-3 years ago. So I think it's really important that we break it down like that. So how many steps we got here? 5 steps process here. And all this information will be downloadable in a PDF if you click the link in the description below. So let's start off with the first step. Probably, I always think it's the most important, but it's hard for me to disagree with this. But I think one of the most important things you should do when you're looking for a house is just reach out to an agent first and foremost. The reason that I think you need to reach out to an agent is because we have a lot of connections within the industry when it comes to mortgage brokers, home inspectors, all those kind of ties. So connecting with us allows us to connect you with a lot of other people, and that's why I think it's kind of more important than just walking into the bank and going that route.
Yeah, so when you're selecting an agent, I think it's super important that you look for referrals. So friends, family, people who have had previously good experiences. As agents, we work highly off referrals. It's a big, important part of our business.
Yeah, no, it's huge. And I mean, definitely when selecting an agent, it is important to make sure that the person that they have had a good experience with them. Sometimes you can call an agent, off the sign or just randomly. And when you don't have that connection to them, you have no idea how they handle their business, how they treat their clients. Yeah. It could be a huge mistake. So definitely, ask your friends, ask your family members, ask people that have had a good experience and go from there. And then next step, and although choosing an agent is important, this one is also important because this is pretty much what it all comes down to. Yeah. And this is getting pre-approved. Yeah. Step number 2. This is something that you have to do. The reason that we like to get people pre-approved is because by getting pre-approved, you know what your budget is. Yeah. You know what you're looking for. You may be browsing on the MLS, seeing houses, $800,000, I could pay for that because you put it in a calculator online. But realistically, when it comes to getting pre-approved, they take in so many different factors, such as, your income, your credit score. You might not actually qualify for that 800. So you might be looking at houses that you don't qualify for, which could get your hopes up and set unrealistic expectations.
I have a great example of this. I actually did this last night. I had a client, I actually met them through Facebook. I asked them beforehand it was actually my mistake. I asked them beforehand, how much money are you looking at spending? When I should have asked if they were pre-approved. We got to the house, it was a snowstorm. We both got all the way out there. It was a half-hour drive from where I live. And I asked them, how much have you been pre-approved for? And they had no idea. So not only did we go out there, and house inventory is now moving within a week. You're looking at houses and you have no idea what kind of budget you're working with. It's just you're setting yourself up for disappointment, because say this house goes for $700,000, you're pre-approved for $600,000. It's not even attainable at that point. So it's super important. And I think the biggest point of this, and most people worry about, and why they don't go to this step first, it costs you nothing. It costs nothing to get pre-approved. It costs the mortgage advisor to run the paperwork, but it doesn't cost you anything. So
absolutely. And that's the biggest thing. It doesn't damage your credit score. A lot of these mortgage brokers can hold off on pulling your actual credit until the day that you want to make the offer. But they'll have a good idea anyways of what you can be approved for. It also is on the flip side where sometimes you might be looking at houses, you have an idea because you did an online calculator, okay, I could be pre-approved for this. You're looking, you're missing out on houses by $50,000, $60,000. Then you talk to a mortgage broker and it turns out, I could get another $100,000. Yes. Now you can afford to purchase your dream home. So getting pre-approved is pretty much, you have to do it. I might even put it ahead of selecting an agent. I don't know, because it's very important to go get pre-approved.
Think about it. How is this calculator? You're not handing in all your paperwork to this calculator. So how is it going to give you an accurate assessment? That's just guesswork. So when you go into an agent, you're getting the direct number. And like you said, it can happen the day of. So if you're super worried about any numbers being pulled, you can literally do it the morning and write an offer up that same day. But Justin's point before was we can refer you to people that we trust, ones who we know that will act quickly for you and in a timely manner, and that's what you want right now in this market. So,
like you had somebody last night that upped their budget. They were able to because we put them in contact with Davis Carroll, actually, who was on this podcast, and he was able to get them a little bit more money.
$100,000 over what they thought they would be pre-approved for from her using a calculator.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And then when you get pre-approved, you don't have to spend it all either. Like I've had clients have been approved for $1 million, 1.1, but they're single person, so they just buy something for $550,000, $600,000, maybe a condo. So, you know, just because you're approved for a lot also doesn't mean you have to spend it. But I mean, then again, it comes down to what you're looking for, and I think that phases us into the next step. After you've spoken to an agent, after you've been pre-approved, now it's time to start looking for a house.
So before we go into that, you should tune into our episode 8 where we do talk to Davis Carroll and the differences between a mortgage broker versus the bank. He has some awesome points there. If you are looking through brokers, sometimes through second lenders, you need to look around 20% down. And banks, you can get away with the 5% on your first home. So, and he'll dive deep into that. So that's a really good episode to turn into.
So now we're looking for a house. One recommendation if you're a first-time home buyer that I always make is just see as many houses as possible. I think this is very important because as a first-time buyer, very rarely do I find that they actually end up purchasing what they initially started looking for because so many things change. You might realize that you prefer an open concept. You might realize that you need a finished basement. You want a garage. You like maybe 4-level back splits. For some reason, you like the layouts of them. So you get to see what you like and don't like. But with that said, don't be discouraged if, you know, I have had first-time buyers too that knew exactly what they wanted. We've gone out a couple times, they've seen it, and we've bought it. So I think it just comes with how comfortable you are. If you are second guessing yourself, like, I don't know if this is right, then maybe take some time, look at some more houses, right? And you'll know when the right one comes in. Like I always say, when we're going through houses, you know, the first couple of minutes that you're in there, I can pretty much almost look at buyers now, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, should I just ask them if they want to go to the next one? Right? So.
Well, right now, sometimes you only have 15 minutes to look at a house, 15-minute time slot, so it's hard. And sometimes you're also your budget circumstance to the market as well. So you might have all these ideas of things that you want, but what you can afford might require a little sweat equity, so don't be afraid of that either. And to further point about looking for a home, the biggest thing we need to drive down is you need to have your deposit ready. So we're not talking about your down payment. Your down payment is separate. The deposit is what will secure your offer when you put that offer in. So you need to have those funds ready in your bank now, because say you go see a house, offer happens to be that night, you need to be ready to trigger that money. It could be $20,000 to $50,000. You need to be ready to pull it out.
Yeah, within 24 hours, so once that offer gets accepted. So it's always good at this stage when you're looking for a house, make sure you have that money in an account ready to go, not in an account that it's going to take 3 or 4 business days to pull it out of, because that could actually cost you the deal. So let's keep going. You have your money. We've been looking at houses. You've seen a house you like. Now what? I want to buy it. What do I do?
So we're preparing to offer.
That's it. So preparing to offer in this market is incredibly different than it was years ago. So like we said, buying a house in 2022, everybody, I won't say everybody, I would say 99% of home sellers now are doing what's called holding offers. What this means is we might go see a house on Saturday, but they're not accepting offers till Wednesday. So even though you want to make an offer on Saturday, we can't. We have to wait till that time period comes to make that offer. Some sellers will look at offers early, but that's a case-by-case scenario. But holding offer is definitely one of the most important things.
Yeah, and the whole point of this is to stop conditional offers. So right now, beforehand, before it was a seller's market, and you could have a couple weeks to look at a house, you'd have time to look up financing, inspecting, that sort of thing. But now they're stopping that. There's multiple offers on a home. They want to stop you giving the time to go get an inspection, to go get your financing. They want their answer now, causing those bids, raising the prices.
Well, it's the biggest thing. You have no choice as a home buyer. You think about it, when you're making an offer on a house and there's 10 other offers, the home seller is basically going to pick the best one. So you still can put a condition of financing in. What that means is you're purchasing a home. If your offer is accepted, you have 5 days to go and get your financing approved. You could put that in. However, if other offers don't have that, the seller is more inclined to take those offers. And that's why it's important in a seller's market, I think, to really bring your best offer forward. Because oftentimes, I mean, the seller might come back and they might come back and forth, but oftentimes just submit your best, come with your best foot forward in this situation. The reason being is you don't want the house to sell. So you see the price and you say, I would have paid an extra $10,000. I would have done that. That's why I think in this market, when you're making the offer, it's very important to come with your best foot forward. Again, conditions are a thing that we always dance around, and it's really your preference on what you're comfortable with. But there are options. Like a pre-approval is a huge step in not having to use that finance condition, as well as I know Brandy's done multiple times in her last few purchases. She's done pre-inspections.
Yeah. I love a pre-inspection.
Yeah,
I think I've said it in every video. There's no problem. You ask the seller if you can get in there, get a pre-inspection. If you find anything, you don't like the house, you say, I won't say anything, and I walk away. And it's as simple
what's the
as
cost
that.
of a pre-inspection?
I have a guy that can do it for $100. $100 per tax.
There you go.
That's peanuts for me when it costs you
think about it,
so much in the long run.
$600,000 to $800,000 purchase. You're going into a house that's 100 years old.
Yep.
To spend $100, even if you have to spend it 2-3 times, say you don't get every house, you have to spend it. In my mind, it's worth it for sure, especially for a pre-inspection. Because we used to pay back in the other day when we used to get conditional offers on home inspections, it was $400 plus tax for a home inspection.
Yeah.
So,
really?
I mean, you're up to like 4 pre-inspections for a break even here.
Yeah.
And then after that, it gets up to you.
Another great point as to why you should bring your best foot forward, because if there is 10 offers on the table, the agent may only go back to the top 3 or 4. And if you knew you could have put another $10,000 and that's all it took, you should just do it from the beginning, because they're going to go back to those top 3 offers and offer them to come up, and you might not even get that chance. So
absolutely. And so
super competitive.
I know it is for sure. So going through the process, we've been pre-approved, we've looked for a house, we found one we like, we make an offer, what's included in an offer. That's when we determine what purchase price we want to give them. We determine what the closing date is. What this is your move-in date. So when you actually get the keys, that's when your mortgage kicks in, and that's when you can move in and invite all your friends over to help you move and paint.
Yeah.
Which I did for years. And then we pick that date, we pick the price, we submit our offer. 3 things can happen after we submit our offer. 1, they can accept it, meaning congratulations, let's celebrate.
Yay.
You just purchased a home.
Yeah.
2, they can counter it. So they like your offer, but maybe they don't like the price, they want a bit more. Maybe they don't like your end of the month closing, they want it to come a bit sooner, right? So they can change those things. That's your second option, is a counter. Third is they can just flat out reject it, which happens. Yeah. I mean, we're having 10, some houses 20, 30 offers. That means that, for every one person that gets it, 19, 29 people are getting their offers rejected and going back on the home hunt.
Yeah. And don't forget, it doesn't cost you or your agent anything to submit an offer.
Yeah.
So if you see
in.
multiple properties in this market, throw them in, and don't hesitate to ask your agent. They should be doing that for you.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't do is if you have 2 offer times on the same day, you don't want to throw 2 offers in that way, because if they both get accepted, you're on the line for 2 houses.
2 houses, yeah. So you only want to submit 1 offer at a time on a property. And again, to your point, I think it is so important to submit offers as much as possible on every house, because they're having cases that we look on the MLS afterwards, we see the sold prices, and I think, man, that was a deal.
Yeah.
Like I would have paid this for this house, right? And so I do think that you need to submit as many offers, and again, like you said, if your agent doesn't want to throw offers in, come on, this is our job, costs nothing, and you never know. You really never know.
Yeah, because there's also the scenario of if there was 2 awesome houses on the market and everyone was really focused on one that had a little bit more, and everyone missed that other house. That house went for a really good deal because not many offers were offered on it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Make sure you're throwing them all out there if you're interested in them.
That's it. So then, we've gone through the process. Say you submit an offer, it gets accepted. Congratulations. What's next? It's It's always a question. Everybody, let's celebrate, yay. Okay, now what? So next steps, obviously, all your paperwork, we can get to your mortgage representative. And as well, you have 24 hours to bring in your deposit check. So what this is not your down payment. This is a deposit that's used to hold the home for you. It binds the deal. It ultimately goes towards your down payment. So that's that 10, 20,000 that Brandy was referring to. So once we bring that in, I guess in this offer, it's normally not conditional. So if it was different and it was conditional, this is when we would do our financing, do our home inspection, but we've chosen not to because we've done that prior. So, and then what happens between then and closing? So this is when you get everything organized. So generally after the house is purchased, you have a couple walkthroughs, you can do some revisits, and this is when you can take your measurements, when you're ordering furniture, you can pick paint colors, that sort of thing. If you want to do some renovations, you can bring your contractor in. So we can do all this after the offer's been accepted.
So standard amount of walkthroughs you would put in the offer would be 2. If there's a lot of work, sometimes you want to do, like you mentioned, contractors. You can put more. I know you mentioned to me before you've had up to 6.
Yeah,
before.
5.
5?
I've done 5 one time. Yeah.
5. That's a lot.
Yeah,
But,
that's aggressive. 2 would be normal. The only time I would do 5 is if it was but you're usually at that point you're an investor. You know
2
what you're
standard
doing.
to me.
Yeah.
1, you get them in there a week or 2 after. Yay, they're excited. Let's go look at the home. Then
Bring the family.
Bring the family. Bring the cousins. The day after, and then the day before is when we go in and we turn everything on. Turn on all the appliances. Turn on the faucets. Turn on the washer and dryer. Lights. Everything. Make sure everything's working because this is your last chance to say something before the deal's done and closed, and then going back after with lawyers is a lot more of a headache. So you want to get all your ducks in a line at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And that's when we start to prepare for the closing date. So there's costs that are involved with closing. It's not a ton of costs. The 3 major things you want to focus on. 1 is land transfer tax. So this is something often people forget about. It's in addition to the money you're putting down on your mortgage. So if you're putting 5% down, plus land transfer tax. So there's tons of calculators online. We'll put one in our description so you can use it to figure out what it is, to give you a ballpark. Like, if you're looking up to 1.2 million, it's a $20,000 transfer. It can be a big number.
Yeah, unlike the pre-approval calculator, this one's very mundane. It's straightforward. You're just getting a number.
Yeah, you just punch in your purchase price and it'll shoot out the number. And then if you are a first-time home buyer, there is the government rebate of $4,000. So this is when that would apply, which is actually a massive help. I use it on my first home, and now every time I purchase a house, it kicks me that I can't still use it.
If you're putting in that 5%, you're pinching pennies. Like 5% could be $40,000. It's of a difference of another four grand. You need that money. It could be furniture, moving costs, all that, a little extra money you want. So.
Absolutely. And then you're going to have lawyer fees. Lawyer fees are generally about $2,000. So you have land transfer tax, your lawyer fees, your down payment. So that all comes together. And then there's miscellaneous funds, like when you assume the water heater rental, you're probably going to have to pay a fee. You set up your internet, they're going to charge you, $200 setup fee, house insurance. You hire movers, could be a couple thousand. So in real estate, there's always been a general rule of thumb when it comes to closing costs. Budget about 3% of the purchase price. And that doesn't include your down payment. So it's down payment plus the 3%.
Yeah, so on top of. So let's run a quick example and then we'll end this content. So on an $800,000 home, we're just roughing this on, it's a little bit less than what the average home is in Hamilton right now. So 5% of that, so you put 5% down, that's $40,000. Your mortgage is about $760 left, and then 3% of that closing was $24,000. So you have your 5% down plus the 24. You're looking at about $64,000 prepared to close, not just your 40
not just
that
the 40,000 that you thought.
You need 64,000.
An extra 24 in general just to afford it.
Yeah.
So this is obviously a very complicated process. There's lots to go through. There's only so much we can break down in such a limited amount of time. We are attaching our guide, which has all this information detailed, or you'll be able to hit the link and get it. and that's going to be full of information. So once again, I thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, be sure to comment, subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that little bell so you get the notifications every time we pop up, because we'd love for you to listen to us again next week, and we'd love to visit with you again next week. So anyways, take care, guys. It's been great.
Thanks.